Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Cooking with Celebrity Chef Seth. I've been trying to say it's like a tongue twister. Celebrity Chef Seth. I think that's supposed to be our. So on Instagram, on 1975 Instagram, we have what we're calling the 12 Days of Christmas, a holiday game. And one of the games, I think today was supposed to be if you can say welcome to Celebrity Chef 5 times as a tongue twister. I have to post it. But if anybody who is on here who's joining us tonight is able to do that by the end of the show, I'll call on you and I'll make sure that the Office of Alumni send you a nice gift in the mail. I am Shelly Lindsay. I am the Director for Alumni and Constituent Engagement. And this is our second event for what some people have nicely named MSM Holiday Takeover, where we call it the holiday week of different activities that we have. And we're so lucky and feel very blessed that we have our own special Morehouse graduate from Morehouse College, actually, Celebrity Chef Seth tonight. So hopefully you received your ingredients. If you did not, please let me know so we can make sure that that is emailed to you this evening before he closes out. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to a dear friend of mine. I have enjoyed you. I mean, I think I've known you now 20 years. And we really at Morehouse, almost 20 years. And so we're just blessed to have you on this stage with us and coming live to do something amazing. I think you're cooking a seafood. How do you say it? I'm messing it up all week. Papaya. How do you say it?
Paella.
Paella. Like, look, I just completely embarrassed myself in front of everybody.
It's fine. We're here to learn. That's the purpose of this. We're here to learn.
Thank you. Okay, I'll take that. So all week I've been going live and I was like, it's a seafood plate. It's a papaya, I think my part, and no shun to me, I hope nobody judge me, is I'm really looking forward to the mixologist portion of your show tonight for the Bourbon Lemonade. So I'm really excited for that. So not that I will be drinking on the job, but definitely want to make sure that everybody has what they need to have a really good time. So without further ado, Chef Seth, thank you so much. And it is now all on you.
Hey, everybody. Unlike Shelly, I do encourage drinking on the job. This is you guys' holiday party, essentially. So the second component of our program tonight will be a cocktail demo. It's my Bourbon Lemonade. It's delicious, it's quick, and it's easy. And it'll get you in the right place. So I hope you guys enjoy that. But really quickly, just to reintroduce myself, my name is Seth Brundle. I'm a celebrity chef. I am the host, executive producer, and creator of Aspire TV's Butter and Brown. Aspire TV is headquartered right there in Atlanta, down the street from Jackson Hartsfield Airport. We've been on the air with them for 5 years. I'm also the host of Season with Seth on BuzzFeed. And as Shelly mentioned, I'm also an AUC alumni. I'm Morehouse class of 2007. And it is a pleasure. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be with you guys tonight, to be a part of you guys' week-long virtual holiday celebration. Tonight, we're going to be doing my signature cast iron seafood paella, not papaya, as Shelly called it a minute ago. But it's really, really flavorful. It's a super easy dish to do. I know paella tends to be a little intimidating to people when they have it in restaurants. They think it's a dish that they can't do themselves at home. But I am here to disprove that. So my classes are the most fun for those of you who got the ingredient list and the instructions ahead of time. I just want to reiterate that my classes are the most fun when they're interactive. I am not shy by any measure at all. I love questions. I love when people are talking mess in the background. I love feedback. I love energy. So if you guys have anything at all to contribute, especially those of you who are at home cooking along with me, by all means, if it's okay with the Morehouse School of Medicine staff, raise your hand, pose a question in the chat, ask the question out loud. I have my AirPods in, so I can hear you guys loud and clear. One of my best friends, Josh, is on the other side of the camera. So he's gonna get detailed views of all the ingredients, of all the steps and everything. And again, if ever there's a moment that you guys need me to stop, need me to repeat something, need me to explain why we're using a specific technique during this demo, let me know, raise your hand. Again, I'm not shy at all. And I love to interact with people in this capacity. So let me know. The one thing I do want to flag before we do start this is to remind you guys that we are indeed doing a fundraiser tonight and for next week's events as well. So the goal is $800. I am saying for myself, because I love our AUC institutions, I'm going to set a personal goal for $1,000. I think we can definitely hit that. So in order to contribute, I want you guys to text MSM Holiday to 41444. And this is for the President Innovation Fund. So again, our goal is $800. I'm pushing you guys, giving you a little nudge for $1,000. So open your hearts and your wallets, in order to keep our AUC institutions' doors open and to keep them thriving the way that they have for the past 100 plus years. So you guys ready? We're gonna get started. Any questions? Shelly, anybody on the staff, faculty side at Morehouse School of Medicine, anybody have anything for me?
No, I'll say this. One real quick. Several people are stating that they did not receive the ingredients list. So I'm getting ready to. If you can put your email address in the chat box, I'm going to go off camera and send that out. There was a technical issue with Gmail accounts earlier today. So if you have a Gmail account, you may or may not have received it. But if you received the Zoom link, it was attached to that particular email. So make sure in the email that was titled Cooking with Celebrity Chef Seth, that within that email, it should have been an attachment. If not, no worries. Just drop your email address in the box and I'll make sure that I start sending that out to everyone.
Yeah, just a note for you, Shelly, as soon as you had mentioned that to me earlier, Josh told me that Google got hacked today. So that's the reason for the bounce back. So just a note for anyone who's having technical issues, that's the reason why Google got hacked today.
Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, definitely. So make sure everybody, you send me your email, and then just for the inconvenience, tonight I'll put it in a chat box, jot form. So you put your mailing address in, and we're going to send something to you as just a small token for being inconvenienced if you did not receive the ingredients list. So just wait for that link to come into the chat box later on, just for the inconvenience. But just make sure you drop your email into the chat box, and I'll start sending out that to you.
Alrighty, sounds good. Without further ado, let's just do a really quick walkthrough of all the ingredients, since most of you guys don't have the list. Most of these are pretty common ingredients. You can find them at Publix or Kroger or Ralph's or whatever part of the country or the world you live in. They're pretty common ingredients that you can find either in the normal aisles, some of them in the international aisles, or the meat and seafood section. So we have some kosher salt, we have black pepper, we have smoked paprika, we have some Sazon, we have some thin sliced fresh garlic cloves, we have yellow and red bell pepper, we have half a diced yellow onion, we have some sliced scallions here, some lemon wedges, some chopped parsley leaves, we have chopped parsley stems, and I'll talk about this in a second. We have some fresh Parmesan cheese, we have some chopped prosciutto, some chopped cured chorizo that hasn't been flavored, it's just the original. We have some fire roasted canned tomatoes, some arborio rice, which is just short grain rice, which is really common with paella dishes. And then we have chicken stock with saffron in it. So I don't know if you guys can see these red threads in here, but saffron is one of the most expensive, let's see, get it steady. There we go. So saffron is the most expensive spice in the world. It's really pungent, it's really powerful, it's really flavorful, and it really just sets any dish off. And whatever you're using it for, you usually don't need a lot of it for it to impart its flavors on the dish. So we're gonna get started since we've kind of done like a run through of all the ingredients. Oh, and the one thing I forgot, we're gonna get to this at the very end, but we have 2 lobster tails that we're gonna split. And then we have half a pound of fresh mussels that I'm gonna teach you guys how to clean. they've already been rinsed, but there's an extra step that we're gonna go through as well. So I don't know if you guys can hear my music, but if you like what I'm listening to, I really love cooking to this album. It's a compilation album between Robert Glasper, Ninth Wonder, Terrace Martin, and a bunch of other really talented producers who are all on one project, and it's appropriately called Dinner Party. So I love cooking to this album. So we have, I'm using a 14-inch cast iron skillet, and I have it on medium heat. So I'm just gonna line this skillet with some olive oil, since it's already hot. And we have that indication because the olive oil is just glistening instantly. I'm gonna go ahead and place our chorizo in the skillet. Got a nice sizzle going, as well as our chopped prosciutto. So we're just gonna cook this for about 2 minutes. We want the prosciutto to crisp up a little bit, and we want some of the oils in this cured chorizo to start to dissipate. This really flavors the dish in a way that no other type of chorizo, brown chorizo in casing, or any other type of case sausage does. It's just a phenomenal product. I love using it in this dish and a lot of others. So if you guys are looking to use the same exact ingredients that I am today, the brand is called Polacillo. And you can usually find Polacillo in your local grocery store. It's a really common Spanish brand, but if not, you know, they got a bunch of other cured chorizo brands as well. So we're just gonna let that sit and saute and do its thing, and we're going to stir it occasionally. But again, we're only cooking this for about 2 minutes. We just want the prosciutto, which is really thinly sliced Italian ham. We just want that to crisp up just a little bit. And that's gonna happen really quickly. And then we're gonna move on to all of our other steps for this dish. So again, Shelly, you're really quiet. So I need somebody to talk to during this demo. So if we have any questions in the chat, feel free to just to interrupt, you know, to cut me off. You know, I'm not shy.
Well, right now everybody's saying hi. Oh, somebody have a question. Go ahead.
Sure.
So I am trying to figure out how to make it taste as good with just seafood, because I get that I've given up meat, and so I get that the chorizo and the prosciutto would you know, kind of season and flavor, but how can we make it almost as good?
So I mean, you can do 100%, you know, not paleo, but pescatarian version of this dish without the pork products. The only thing I would encourage you to do is, since these are the first steps, once you add the onions, to add a little fennel and butter and fennel seed. That's going to give you that sausagey type of flavor that you're looking for and that we get from the chorizo and the prosciutto without, you know, the pork product. So for, what would that be? Maybe the third step, when you've added the parsley stems, when you've added the onions and the bell pepper, you can also add half a bowl of diced fennel, maybe a teaspoon of fennel seed, and maybe 2 tablespoons of butter, because what you want is that sausage flavor, and you want that richness. So the butter should give you the richness, the fennel seed, and then the fennel bulb should give you the flavor that you're looking for.
All right, thank you.
No problem at all. Okay. So this is exactly where we want it to be. So these are parsley stems that I chopped up. I am someone who does not believe in food waste at all. And especially with herbs that have tender stems like parsley and cilantro and, you know, basil, if you get it. very fresh. I usually chop up those tender stems really fine and add them at the very beginning of, stews and soups and, rice dishes like this one, because we add them at the very beginning. They don't maintain their texture. They kind of melt into the dish really naturally. And what you end up getting is a really herbaceous flavor on the front. So I like to save my parsley stems and use them in this dish in particular, but the other ones too. So we want to add the parsley stems to our dish. And then we're going to add our yellow onion.
Okay, Chef, I have a question. Someone wanted to know, are you using a cast iron skillet?
I am. So this, I didn't call it that in my in the deck that I sent you, Shelly, but this is a cast iron paella. So if you don't, for whatever reason, if you don't have an old Southern grandmother who passed you along a cast iron skillet, just make sure it's a heavy bottom skillet. But this is indeed, I'm using a 14-inch cast iron skillet. But for these particular measurements that I included in the instructions, an 8-inch will be the minimum. So as long as you have an 8-inch skillet, you'll be fine.
Why do you say heavy bottom skillet? What is
so a heavy bottom skillet, if you notice when you buy a quality skillet from Williams-Sonoma or Crate and Barrel or whatever it is, it's usually the bottom of the skillet is usually much thicker. Even if you get like, a Teflon or, an aluminum or some other material skillet, it's usually a little thicker on the bottom when it's a heavy bottom skillet. And the reason why we want to use a heavy bottom skillet is because it conducts heat much better than the thinner skillets do. If you have a thinner skillet, then you're more than likely going to burn the bottom of your paella, and you don't want to do that. So just make sure it's a heavy bottom skillet.
Thank you.
No problem.
Just as a reminder, if you have a Gmail account, I am resending it to you, the booklet. Please let me know if you received it. If not, we will continue to try to get it out to you or place it on our website somewhere, just so you can have it in until the Gmail situation is rectified. But I am sending it out now. And then for those who have placed it in, please definitely check your emails as well. And then also as a reminder, we are recording this, so you will be able to go back and look at the recording as well. That looks so good.
It smells even better than it looks.
I can. That looks really good. It looks very flavorful.
There's so many layers of flavor because we're using a great deal of aromatics. We have 2 different types of pork. We have 2 different types of shellfish that we're using. It's a really flavorful, really filling, really hearty dish without making you feel too heavy after you're done. So I'm just gonna add just a bit of salt to encourage our veg to continue sweating. So this is in a really good place. So I'm just gonna add a bit of our chopped parsley now. And then I'm gonna add our arborio rice. So I don't know if you guys can tell on camera, but this is short grain rice and it's ideal for paellas and risotto. I'm adding our rice. The rice is gonna toast and soak up some of that liquid that our aromatics are giving off. Then we're gonna add our diced tomatoes. Okay. That is in a great place and it smells really good. So we're We're gonna add just a bit more salt. We don't need much for this dish because we have a good deal of salt from, or a good amount of salt from the prosciutto, from the chorizo, and then from the Saison. So I just added a little salt and a little pepper. Give it a stir. And then I'm gonna add a little smoked paprika. You can use smoked or sweet. Both versions have some smokiness to it, so you don't have to worry. And then I'm gonna add some Saison. Saison is just a Latin spice blend. I'm gonna brighten this thing up a little bit. Make it stir again. And then I'm gonna add frozen peas. Frozen peas cook up really quickly. We're gonna add those at the end, and then we're adding our chicken stock and saffron blend. A little too heavy. Okay, so we just want to mix all the ingredients in the pan to make sure that everything is evenly incorporated. I'm going to add a bit more Saison. And then our garlic. Right. Okay, so we're gonna reduce our flame to medium low, and I'm just gonna place a lid on top of the cast iron, a jar, and that's all we have to do for now. It's gonna take a minimum of 15 minutes because of the size of this skillet. If anybody's cooking along with me at home, you have an 8-inch and it's smaller, it should maybe cook up in about 12 minutes. So we're gonna let that do its thing for now, and we're gonna get to one of my favorite portions of the cooking demo, which is the cocktail demo. It's time to drink. So this is a cocktail that I call a Bourbon Lemonade. Everything okay there? You said it just needs to be brighter? Okay. Shelly, can you see me? Are we good? Am I blown out?
I can still see you, Chef.
Okay, perfect. Alrighty. So this is my Bourbon Lemonade. I'm going to grab some ice really quickly. All right. Okay, so the first step for this particular cocktail is to make burnt honey. So it sounds really complicated, but it's a really simple process. All you're gonna do is take about a cup of honey, put it into a saucepan, and bring it up to a boil until it starts to foam up. Honey doesn't boil like water does. It has like a foaming type of reaction when exposed to high heat. So you're gonna bring it up to a boil. You're gonna continue to stir for 3 to 4 minutes, and then once that's done, you're gonna take it off the flame and add about a third of a cup of water and continue to stir for another 2 minutes to make sure the honey and the water are evenly incorporated. And what that process does, it just intensifies the flavor of the honey. It almost makes it like a sweet, smoky type of flavor. So you do that first, and we end up getting this dark amber colored burnt honey here. And then we're gonna squeeze the juice of a couple of lemons so we get the lemon juice. And that's what we're gonna do to start. So we're gonna fill the shaker with some ice. And then to that, since I'm making 2, we're gonna add 4 ounces of our burnt honey, or 2 ounces of our burnt honey, and I'm just gonna eyeball this. 2 ounces of burnt honey. and then 4 ounces of fresh squeezed lemon juice. And my favorite, we're gonna add 4 ounces of bourbon. This is Uncle Nearest. It's a great brand, great story. For those of you who are not familiar, Uncle Nearest is the slave who taught Jack Daniels how to distill, barrel, and bottle bourbon. And his family got a hold of his estate. Now they're manufacturing their own branded bourbon called Uncle Nearest. So definitely give that a try. For all of you guys who are Atlanta residents, you are probably familiar, so I definitely encourage you to use Uncle Nearest for this particular cocktail. So we're just gonna give this a shake. Pour it into our coupe glasses.
Yeah, somebody asked, can you use a cast iron skillet on a glass stove top?
An electric glass stovetop?
No, they just said a glass stove top. Helen, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Oh, that looks so good.
Yes, a glass stovetop that's electric. Because I heard the heat from the skillet might be too much for the glass top. That's somebody told me.
So I don't have very much experience with electric stovetops. I actually prefer not to use them. So I can't necessarily answer that question. I don't know. I was just gonna respond immediately and say it's okay to use cast iron skillets on electric stoves, but I'm not sure about the glass. I'm not that versed.
Okay, thank you. I have the separate aisle that I could use, that I plug in, so I could work it.
Something tells me though, because the glass that they use on those electric stovetops are intended for very intense heat. Something tells me they can handle the heat of a cast iron skillet, but again, I don't want you coming after me for $2,000 to replace your unit. So I'm gonna refrain from giving that advice. I don't know.
I'll do a Google search.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. So we're gonna add a splash of Prosecco to that burnt honey. And then finally, last step for this amazing and very simple cocktail, we're going to garnish it. So I made what are called brulee lemons. So all these are dense sliced lemons. I patted them dry and then added some brown sugar and used my blowtorch to torch them until they were caramelized. But if you don't have a blowtorch, you can easily just use the broiler setting in your oven. So these are just brulee lemon slices. So we're gonna garnish with those.
Oh, that looks so good.
Shelly, you don't even know. You don't even know.
Can you package some up and ship it to Atlanta?
I don't know how this would travel. I don't know about that, but I could definitely.
I'm willing to see.
I sent you the recipe, but I could definitely do that.
No, I don't want to. We talked about. we talked about what I'm not trying to do with my kitchen right now.
I got you.
Wait, can you repeat the bourbon?
The name of the bourbon?
Yes.
So the name of the bourbon is Uncle Nearest.
Okay. My friend that's on here, Stephanie Oliver, who works at Morehouse, says she needs 2 of those. I think we need 4 of those. So afterward, we can turn up.
You guys definitely want these. They're like adult lemonades. Adult lemonades with like a bit of smoke, like a bit of it's almost like a campfire type of flavor. In addition to the fresh squeezed lemon, the burnt honey. It's like the perfect combination. Then you have a little bubbly from the Prosecco. It's perfect. It's perfect. Especially in my household, this is the perfect bridge between cocktails that my wife loves and cocktails that I love. So yeah. So this is our bourbon lemonade. So I'm just gonna leave those there for now. Let's strike some of this stuff. And we can go over to our cocktails if you're ready, Josh. Or not our cocktails, we just finished our cocktails, our seafood. Okay.
Seth, do you have to use the Uncle Nearest bourbon, or will anybody?
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. It's not a requirement. Just a suggestion. A gentle suggestion.
What other suggestions do you have?
I mean, I have a lot of suggestions.
Wow.
Are you talking specifically about bourbons or?
Bourbon. Yes, for bourbon.
So this brand of bourbon whiskey gets a bad rap, but I really like it, especially for cocktails and especially for cooking, because you don't necessarily need like high quality bourbon for it. But Evan Williams is like a bottom shelf bourbon. Their packaging looks a lot like Jack Daniels. I think they're like the great value brand, Jack Daniels, but it's a really, really solid bourbon, especially for cocktails, especially for cooking. I wouldn't necessarily drink it neat, but it's perfect for this cocktail. So Evan Williams, this is also great with cognac. So, Hennessy, Crown, E&J, it just takes to brown smoky liquors much better than a clear wood. So, yeah.
Nice.
No problem. So I have some shellfish on ice. I have 2 medium-sized lobster tails here. So I'm just gonna split these right in half. So I'm gonna start with my chef's knife on the base of the cutting board and place my middle finger and my thumb on either side of it and just use some elbow grease. Split it straight in half, just like that. I'll repeat that step for the other one. Okay, so now we have 4 halves that I'm gonna put back on ice for now. And then we have our mussels. So I really wanted to talk to you guys about mussels. For any of you guys who shop for seafood or anything like that, you need to look out for this. So I didn't notice this until now, but this particular mussel needs to be thrown away. It's chipped. Air has been allowed to get inside of there, and this is more than likely a dead mussel. So this can make you really, really sick. So we're just gonna chuck that. We're not gonna use this one. So for mussels, you wanna ensure that they're either closed or no more than 1/8 of an inch open. Preferably if they're less than 1/8 of an inch open, you wanna tap it just to make sure it's still alive. It will contract. But if it's closed like this, it should be good. So I've given these a good rinse, and this one doesn't have a beard. This one is free and clear. Okay, so oh no, that one doesn't have a beard either.
Chef, someone asked if you don't eat mussels, is there a substitute?
So you could definitely do scallops or shrimp or whatever your preference on shellfish is. You can do crab. You're not limited at all, and all the shellfish will cook up at the same time. 3 to 4 minutes. It doesn't need long at all. So yeah, whatever your preference is.
And then another question was, how do you clean the lobster so it doesn't have that fishy taste?
If it has too much of a fishy taste, it might not be good lobster. It shouldn't be too fishy. It should taste like lobster. So if it is too fishy, you should probably throw it away.
That hurts.
Yeah. Lobster's not cheap. Lobster's definitely not cheap, but there's nothing like getting food poisoning from shellfish, especially. Take it from me, it's happened a couple times. Constantly being in the kitchen, constantly testing recipes. You just want to avoid it. So if it has too much of a fishy taste and smell, just chuck it. Good lobster's not supposed to smell like that.
I have a question for you. The other night, me and 2 of my friends went to go eat lobster, and one wanted to cook it. And so here in Atlanta, we have Publix, obviously, you know. So would you suggest going to like your regular grocery store to get lobster, like the Publix or the Kroger's, or is there somewhere where you would suggest to go?
So I haven't been to any in Atlanta because when we film there, usually the crew does the shopping for it. But if you guys have great Asian markets in Atlanta, that's where you guys need to buy shellfish. Like the lobster at Kroger and Publix is just fine. It's good. It's fresh. It's quality shellfish, but you get the same quality for much cheaper prices at your local Asian grocery store. And I usually start off with those. I have a few favorites here in LA. And one of the, there's not too much positive that's come out of the pandemic, but one of the great things for us as end users and consumers is that seafood and shellfish specifically is a little cheaper now that we're in quarantine because restaurants aren't ordering in the same quantity they used to. Depending on which region of the country you're in or which state and city you're in, I know our restaurants are shut down again for dining in. So typically restaurants are not going to sell and package seafood for delivery. It doesn't travel well. Drivers get lost. They have other deliveries that they need to do. So a lot of restaurants have taken seafood off their delivery menus. And, great for us, who cook at home, it's a little cheaper. So my suggestion would be go to your local Korean market, Japanese market, Chinese market. We have a bunch of them here in LA. So I love going there. And the last time I went to, for anybody who's watching that lives in LA, Little Tokyo Marketplace in downtown LA is one of my absolute favorites to go. And the last time I was there last week, they had 2 tanks full of lobster. And these things claws were like as big as my fist. And I think each lobster was like $8.99. They had like marked them down like 3 different times because, they can't move it as fast as they previously were. So just to know for you guys, cheaper seafood, Asian markets, you can find a bunch of other, untraditional, non-American ingredients that you can experiment with too, whether it's, lo mein noodles or crab paste, which I use for one of my other signature dishes, or scallion sauce or shrimp chips, which my wife loves. It's just it's like culinary Disneyland for me to go in those places and, just discover new ingredients and fall in love and, become passionate about, things that I didn't necessarily grow up with, that I couldn't adapt for myself. So
I like. I put in a chat box for those people who live in Atlanta, a place that was highly rated as a good place that's an Asian market to Chef's recommendation called First Oriental Market on Ponce. And I have one more that was sent to me that I'll also put in the chat box. Now, I do have a question.
Sure.
Anybody out there actually cooking? Because I would love to put you on side by side with the chef so we can see what it looks like.
Yeah, mine is already, we're pretty flagrant.
Everybody's off camera. I think they're thinking like I was thinking. I don't want you to see me cooking, just in case I don't go up in flames. So funny story, I was making a rum cake last year, and I got very excited about my rum cake. Corinne is laughing because she knows the story. And I didn't use measuring cups. I don't believe in measuring cups. I'm from New Orleans. And all of a sudden the oven went whoosh. And my daughter was like, wow, it went on fire. So now I choose not.
You had a little flambe action.
I did. I think Stephanie, who's on here, she liked my cake. She thought it was real good.
We enjoyed it.
They enjoyed it, but it went.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You had a little flambe, a little chemical reaction. That's what's always fun about being in the kitchen is like, it allows me to be a kid again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in that I get to experiment, I get to play mad scientist, I get to, just freely create, and come up with new things. And it's awesome. It's awesome. And my son is only 2 and he loves helping me cook now, especially like sprinkling stuff in the pot. He gets a kick out of that. That is stern.
I love it. Well, I have Miss Wright on side by side with you. She's cooking in the kitchen with you. You want to take yourself off of mute so we can hear?
Let me see what she got.
Doing?
Oh, it's nothing like what the chef is making. I'm here about to make some salmon for dinner. So I'm trying to kill two birds with one stone, learning and doing my own thing here. But
I love it.
It's not what you're doing at all, but I'm learning. So thank you.
I'm sure it smells good. I like that sweater too, by the way.
Thank you.
I like that. Yeah.
I love it. Well, does anybody else, outside of what we're making tonight, does anybody else have any questions for Chef about we're getting close to Christmas, right? And so I'm sure everybody is trying to try new recipes. So Dr. Larkin, do you have a question for Chef? I know I'm calling on you because you're like right in front of my screen, but do you have a question for him, a new recipe or anything? Love that you're here. She's a great supporter of Morehouse School of Medicine.
Hey, okay.
Hey.
Look, I'm on the spot. Hey, everyone. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Thank you, Chef. I appreciate you. And I am a seafood lover, being from Baltimore, Maryland. Shout out to all my Maryland and my blue crab. Hey, can we put some blue crabs into the paella? I hope I'm saying it correctly because I may
paella.
Paella, excuse me. I took a Spanish.
You're good. You're good.
And
no,
I
you can definitely
one other question. So
yeah, crab works perfectly fine. Most shellfish cooks up in the same amount of time. Shellfish doesn't need very long at all, anywhere from 2 to 4 minutes, just depending on what you're cooking and the tools you're using to cook it. This, for instance, the shellfish that we're going to use in this dish is essentially steaming, because we have the cast iron skillet and then we have a lid on it. So it's going to steam and just cook through. And, when you go to people's houses or you have people's food or it's your own food and, you have shrimp or you have lobster or you have mussels and they're really tough and rubbery, it's because they've been overcooked. Most seafood only needs about, 4 minutes max, unless you're like steaming in a whole lobster. So if you're steaming a whole lobster, 8 to 10 minutes definitely. But if you have like a lobster claw or a crab leg or a shrimp in a shell or deshelled or whatever the case is, anywhere from 2 to 4 minutes gets it nice and succulent and juicy and flavorful, and it's at its perfect place. Anything over that, I don't believe in food waste, but you might as well throw it away because it's like chewing on a seafood flavored tire.
Oh, okay. We don't want that. We
don't want that. We don't want that, especially not for our Baltimore family. We do not want that for our Baltimore family.
And one other question,
sure.
On the spot, when it comes to those, the drink that you have, like people who do not partake in bourbon, and I want some bourbon right now in mine, but the drink that you have, but what would you say as far as substituting and making more of a version drink, say for instance, from some of our parents or even maybe some patients or clients that may be trying to eliminate alcohol? It may have been their vice this pandemic, and they may need to skip on that now.
Yeah. So this cocktail functions the same way if you want to make a virgin version of it. I would skip, of course, the bourbon and the Prosecco. Skip those and substitute those two for club soda, sparkling water, something along those lines. You still have the fizz. You'll still have enough additional components and liquids to balance out the sweetness from the burnt honey and the tartness from the lemon. You could essentially make your own sparkling lemonade with a slightly smoky flavor. So that's what I would suggest, using these same ingredients. You can still do the brulee lemons. You can still garnish it with thyme. That gives it another type of citrusy component. But all of these things work great in Congress with one another without the alcohol. I would just substitute it for, like I said, sparkling water or club soda, and maybe do, if the ratios are 2 to 1, so we're doing 2 ounces of the fresh squeezed lemon juice and 1 ounce of the burnt honey. I would maybe do, and I would have to experiment with it, but I would maybe do 3 to 4 ounces of the carbonated water, whatever you elect to use.
So, Chef, I have Dr. Evelyn on the screen with you. Dr. Evelyn, did you have a question for Chef? No. No. Yes. We can't hear you.
I'm gonna add a bit more chicken stock. My pan's a little.
You hold on. Okay, there you go.
All right, hey, I didn't realize I was gonna shout out. Actually, I do. So how long does it take to actually prep? Because that's usually one of the reasons why I don't really cook. Because when you put it on the cookbook, it'll say, oh, it'll just take, 50 minutes in the stove or 30 minutes in the stove. That's a lot of dicing.
Yeah, so here's
Preach it, because my child eat a lot of pizza.
And can you do it like ahead of time? Can you do it ahead of time and put it in the refrigerator or something like that?
Absolutely. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but I had my whole meal set here. I did all my prep before we hopped on earlier in the day. Setting my mise en place is my place of peace. So it's something that I really enjoy doing. I want everything to be pretty and in its own, separate container or ramekin or whatever it is that you elect to use. But if you're at home in the comfort of your own home, if you're not trying to post, digital content like I am most of the time or whatever the case is, you can just do it quick and dirty. You don't have to necessarily have, the fine dice on the onions and the bell pepper like I did. You don't have to necessarily finely chop up the parsley stems. You can just do it in real time as quickly as possible and dump it in there, as you go. So I would say if you're going to do it quick and dirty and you don't need a pretty mise en place like I do for these demos, then maybe 20 minutes of prep time, just, chopping everything up and setting it off to the side. And then, in terms of cooking the dish, I would allot 30 minutes because, you're layering flavor. So we're starting with, the parsley stems, then we're adding our aromatics, then we're adding, you know what I mean? Because we're layering flavors on the front end and then it needs to simmer in order for the rice to cook up and get really fluffy, I would allot 30 minutes for that. So I would say this is a 50-minute to an hour dish. If we're speaking honestly.
I don't know. For those of us who aren't all that great with the prepping and the cutting and all of that, we may need to add a little more time to it.
Okay. Maybe I'm not being generous enough. Let's say 30.
You can do all of that. Some of us should have gotten like this.
And that's okay. So one of my favorite products, I don't know if you guys I know this is kind of faux pas for chefs to say and, suggest, but I know for me, when I'm pressed for time or I have a big demo to do or, I'm making gumbo next week for, for my immediate family because we've been quarantining together for Christmas, I'm going to use one of the slap chops, where you load, the bell pepper in and you just slap it down and it gives you that fine dice. I'll send Shelly a link for them. I get mine on Amazon and I've had to order quite a few of them because I use them regularly.
Wait, what is this?
It's like a slap chop. It's like a veggie chopper. So it almost looks like
a slap chop. Slap chop.
So slap chop is one of the brands. That's not the one that I suggest, but it's like a rectangular shape. There's a receptacle for the chopped veggies to go in. There's a blade overlay, and then there's the chopper that you just press down. I'll send you guys a link. I'm probably not articulating or describing this in the best way, but it's clutch. So for those of you, like you said, who aren't, too fast at choppers and don't really the whole prep and all those steps and stuff like that, it'll make it super quick and easy.
Can you do hard vegetables like onions in there?
Yeah. Yeah. So the way that I've broken mine is I try to load too many carrots in mine at a time. And, carrots are much, much tougher than, onions, bell pepper, that kind of stuff. It's easy. But the carrots are a little tougher. So I'll usually be going through them too much and I'm, pounding on it too hard and I end up breaking it because it's plastic. So I've been through maybe 3 of them in the past 2 years, but they're only $20 too. So, but they're awesome time savers since, let me see. Okay. That needs a couple more minutes. So I will, let's see.
Dr. Helen, do you have a question for Chef? You trying to unmute yourself?
So hi, I was just gonna show the chopper.
Let's see. I found one. Here we go. Okay, so go to the chat. Okay, I just posted a link in the chat for the device that I'm talking about. I swear by it. I recommend it. It's perfect. It's a time saver. So definitely for those of you who hate chopping and all that other stuff, definitely invest in one of those. Best $20 you'll ever spend, ever.
Chef, I think Dr. Flagg has a chopper on her screen. Can you see it? Vegetable chop and measure. Is that what it? You can unmute yourself.
Yes, I was just saying they are very handy.
Oh yes, that's the exact one that I have. Yeah.
Yeah, this is William and Sonona, $30.
Yeah.
I had one from one of those people that sell you the stuff. I can't think of the name of it, but yeah.
Cutco. One of those types of companies like Cutco. Let me throw this back in the freezer.
She went to William and Sonona. Where did you go?
Pampered Chef.
Pampered Chef.
Pampered Chef. Okay, I think I'm familiar with that one. Okay, really quickly, again, guys, this is a fundraiser. So open your hearts, your wallets. Please, if you have it, we would really appreciate it. Text MSM Holiday to 41444. This is for the President Innovation Fund. And our goal tonight is $800. But again, I'm nudging you guys for $1,000. I know we can hit it. I know we can hit it. God has been better to us.
Corinne just told me it's MSM Cheers.
MSM Cheers.
MSM Cheers. So that goes with the drink.
41444.
With my glass empty. Cheers.
Hey, cheers. Yeah, got it. Yeah. I get it. Y'all clever. Y'all clever.
Yes. So I'm looking to see if anybody else have any questions. We have a lot of people that's hiding. Dr. Dawson, who runs amazing physician assistant program. She's on. Great program that we have at Morehouse School of Medicine. Dr. Smith, she's on. She's a great supporter. But they're hiding. I was looking forward to seeing them cook something. And Stephanie Oliver.
Since you guys are recording this, you guys can do a part 2.
What does that part 2 look like?
Gumbo.
You guys on Zoom cooking together.
Somebody said they want you to cook gumbo.
Gumbo.
We can do that too. So we're moving on to next step, not to cut you guys off, but this is time crucial right here. So I put those 2 lobster tails that we split, and we have 4 pieces on in the 4 corners, even though we don't have corners, it's a circle of the skillet. So now I'm just placing our mussels in between those lobster tails. Get in where they fit in. Is it symmetrical? Did I get the perfect amount? See, that ½ pound is always perfect. Alrighty. So we're gonna place our shellfish there, and then we're gonna recover it with the same lid. So this is gonna cook for about 4 minutes. So notice the lobster tails are like a grayish, brownish, blackish color. We're gonna know that they're ready when the opacity on it changes. So when they turn that bright red color, that's how we're gonna know the paella is done. Done. Done.
How many servings is this?
So this is a minimum of 4 servings, but if you eat like me, it's more like 3. But you guys, or most of you guys, I'm assuming, are in Atlanta, so you guys are in, the headquarters city for the CDC. I'm sure the CDC would say this is a 4-serving dish, but some of us are a little heavier than others. Some of us went to Fried Chicken Wednesdays a little, hit it a little harder than others of us did in undergrad. So.
Ooh, Fried Chicken Wednesdays.
Yeah. I don't think I've really had fried chicken since college.
Really?
I mean, I've had it here and there, but not like I did. Like, that was something that we ate regularly because of the caf, because there was a Mrs. Winters on every corner and all that other stuff.
True.
But, like, yeah, the occasional Popeyes run every now and then, but yeah.
The occasional Popeyes.
Really I don't really fry stuff in my house. I don't like that smell. I love the taste, but I don't like the smell.
Of fried food?
Me too.
Yeah, it's just too, makes it smell like that jar of oil that your grandmother has on the counter in your whole house for like 2 days. I'm good. I'm good.
Chef, someone asked if there's a way that we could get the family gumbo recipe.
Yeah, I can send it to you.
Okay.
Yeah. I gotta find it. I'll find it somewhere, but I'll send it to you by tomorrow. You can send it to everybody else too.
Okay, I'll send it out to everybody. Yeah. We need the gumbo video recipe. I love it. That's what I love gumbo, being that I'm from New Orleans, but I don't cook it as much. I don't cook it at all.
Well, my family's from Glenmore, Louisiana, so we grew up on it. It's our Christmas tradition. And my grandmother finally, even with all my expertise and my experience, my grandmother finally started letting me make the gumbo last year. Kid you not.
Wow.
Like, for the first time ever, let me make it for the entire family.
Okay.
And she actually complimented me too, which was amazing.
It was an
amazing accomplishment on my end. So
I love it.
For those of you who have loving grandmothers who, are not very expressive like mine, it was a moment. It was definitely a moment. So, yeah.
So I think you recommended us to tonight go to the Asian market, wherever we are, to get our seafood. So that was a great tip that you gave us. Definitely, if you don't have a cast iron skillet in your kitchen, definitely get one. I'm glad you said that, because my brother asked me what I wanted for Christmas. So now that's on my list, along with a skillet pan.
You can get Target sells Lodge brand cast iron skillets. I think you can get a good one for like $20, like a 12-inch for like $20 at Target. So it's not one of those things that's hard to find at all.
I would have never thought about going to Target to get a cast iron skillet. I don't know why the two just didn't.
Yeah, you don't really associate Target with those types of things, but they have those essentials. So, like, say the spirit of Christ compelled somebody and they were like, I gotta make this paella tonight, and they wanted to find a cast iron skillet. They could go to Target and find a Lodge brand. I think I have 2 different Lodge brand cast iron skillets in addition to like all my other ones. So
I love it. And then you put in the chat box for us to get a vegetable smasher. That's what I just named it.
A veggie chopper.
A veggie chopper.
A chopper. You from New Orleans, so you know what a chopper is.
Listen, I might be from New Orleans, but I can tell you I go to Publix, and they have these Publix and Kroger's. They have the already cut onions. And see, Dr. Avalon, there's some people who agree with me, and I get it in the little package for like $3.
You can also get it frozen.
Yep, exactly.
No.
I was actually going to say the frozen, they got the Trinity frozen at Kroger.
Nope, I'm not letting y'all get away with that. Nope, no frozen. Definitely you guys can buy the ready chopped, onions and bell peppers and stuff like that. No problem with that at all. Just rinse it because it gets a little slimy sometimes. But those frozen veggies, disgusting. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm not letting y'all get away with that.
They're always in there and they're waiting for you to use them.
They're always in there because you shouldn't buy them. So people are like leaving them in the freezers. That's why they're always there. I'm not shaming y'all, but I'm gonna say
shaming us.
I'm saying if you guys make my recipe, don't tell anybody you got it from me if you're using frozen veggies. Don't tell anybody it's my recipe. Do not.
That's
I'm
right.
disowning. I'm disowning y'all.
Just say you got it from Seth. Don't say Chef Seth. That's the
So you got it
from
some Jewish guy named Seth. Don't say me.
Yes, no problem.
Yeah,
Make sure tomorrow when Chef sends me the gumbo recipe, if you do not receive it by 3:00 Eastern Standard Time, to please make sure to email alumni@msm.edu just to make sure that everybody receives it. And then also in the chat box, we dropped the link for you to put your mailing address in there so we can send you a little token of appreciation for being patient with us. So make sure you do those two things. It'll have your email address in there as well. And then for those of you who have Gmail account, definitely follow up with me because we did send it out and we got some bounce backs from Gmail because of its technical issues. So we want to make sure that everybody receives this gumbo recipe as well as your token of appreciation. Corinne, thank you. She just put the email in there, alumni@MSM. If you do not receive the recipe by 3:00 Eastern Standard Time.
Did you go back to school or did you decide not to return?
Yeah, I never went back. I was too embarrassed.
Oh, I was wondering where that, I know it was so random. Like somebody's like, did you decide not to go back to school?
I was like, what?
Shelly, I have a question.
Yes.
Or something I wanted Chef Seth to go back and talk about a little bit more, because I think it was a little surprising for some people when you talked about the live mussels. So will you talk about why they're live when we're using them in recipes, why they should be live?
So they should be live because, what dead mussels, unlike, dead fish or lobsters or any other type of seafood, they just go bad once they die. And they can make you really, really sick and give you really bad food poisoning. So you definitely want to use live mussels if they haven't already been cooked. So if you go to Publix, they'll sell deshelled mussels, like out of the shell, that'll just be like in a pile in the seafood, at the seafood counter, but they're already cooked. Those aren't live or fresh themselves or canned or pasteurized. It's something about the physiology and the chemical makeup of mussels that once they're dead and gone, they're poisonous. So definitely don't, if they're more than an eighth of an inch open, if they're wider than that, that's an indicator that they've been sitting out or in your refrigerator too long. So definitely just chuck them. They're really cheap. This half dozen that I bought earlier today, the price keeps dipping. The half dozen that I bought was only $1.25. So they're really cheap. It's not worth getting sick, not worth, having to be rushed to emergency, especially with, the current circumstances that we're under. So, yeah. But it looks like we've got a finished paella here.
Ooh.
But we're not done. So we have some lemon wedges here. So I'm just going to give this a
that looks really good.
Squeeze of lemon juice or two. And then to that, we're going to grab some Parmesan and a grater. Grate some fresh Parmesan cheese over the top. And then we're just going to garnish with a little more fresh parsley and some chopped scallions. And that is our seafood paella.
Okay, Chef, so who's going to be the lucky winner to eat it?
So that would be my mom. That would be my mom. This is actually going to my mom's house tonight.
Awesome.
When I told her that I was doing this, because, I've made this dish more than a few times. And when I say more than a few times, I mean pretty often. So I'm kind of sick of it. So I usually donate it to a friend or family member when I'm done. So she said she definitely wanted it.
So then I guess the other question is, do you have like a curated box with some ingredients that we could buy from you? Oh, that looks good.
So I do have partners that I work with here in LA that own a catering company called Urban Comfort Foods. And they offer, for these virtual cooking classes that I do, they offer boxes with, kind of like Blue Apron, but they offer boxes with all of the ingredients that I use for these dishes. But for every entity that I do these for, there needs to be at least a minimum of 50 orders. So if we can get the Morehouse School of Medicine family to all commit, and we get at least 50 orders, then I can ship these boxes with all the ingredients pre-measured out with the recipe cards and everything to you guys. But we need a minimum of 50 orders.
All right, well, we'll talk about that offline and maybe get some people interested. There was a question about baked salmon. What is your suggestion for bacon salmon?
So I love baked salmon. So same thing, heavy bottom skillet. I would season my salmon with, whether you're doing a blackening seasoning, if you're just doing a simple salt and pepper, whatever you're going to season with, season that salmon after you've cleaned it and patted it dry, of course. And then you're going to turn your pan on medium-high heat. Add some olive oil or canola oil or grapeseed oil or some kind of neutral oil, and then place it on the pan flesh side down and sear it for about 2 minutes until we have like a nice sear, some nice sear marks on it. Flip it, do the same thing, skin side down, and then finish it in the oven for anywhere from 6 to 8 minutes. So that way we'll have that crispy, that crispy skin on the outside, the crispy flesh side. The searing will intensify whatever, the seasoning is that you flavored the salmon with. And then the inside will just be nice and tender and flaky and juicy. It'll be perfect. So that's my suggestion for seared salmon or for baked salmon. Sear it on both sides first in an oven-safe skillet like this one where it's all metal and you don't have to worry about the plastic melting or burning or anything like that. Sear it on both sides for 2 minutes and then stick it in the oven for anywhere from 6 to 8 minutes to finish off.
Awesome. And what is your favorite dish to cook for Christmas?
Gumbo. That's my favorite dish. My wife and I were actually talking about breaking tradition this year, maybe thinking of something else to do. And then she came back the next day and was like, no, I don't like change. I want gumbo. We haven't had it in a while. So we're going to have gumbo next week. I don't think I've had gumbo in it. It's been like a solid year since I last had it. So I'm excited about it.
Oh, awesome.
And then it's a one pot dish. I don't have to make 12 things like I did for Thanksgiving. I just making gumbo.
Also, Chef, so we can follow you because we know that you put a lot of your dishes on social media. Where can we follow you at?
I'm Seth Brundle everywhere, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, any social media platform. I'm Seth Brundle everywhere. SETHBRUNDLE. Awesome.
And like the name of your show is Butter and Brown, and where can we watch it at? Because I know we have a huge fan. Actually, we have a huge fan. I don't know if she would get on here. I could try to like low-key embarrass her to see if she will.
Embarrass her. That's the energy that I like. Embarrass her.
Let's see if I can spotlight her in some way. I can't make her a host. Hold on, let me see. I'm gonna have to figure out how I can
pin her screen.
But she is a huge fan of yours. She was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe Morehouse got him." Let's see. Her name is Natasha Damon. Dr. Damon.
Nobody.
And she's on here, but I can't pin her. Okay, there you go. Let me see. Can't pin her, but Natasha, you can at least unmute yourself and talk to Chef. Since I can't pin you, but she's a huge fan of your show, Butter plus Brown.
Thank you so much.
I think she can unmute her. She might be able to unmute herself. I might have did something behind here. But there she go.
I'm glad you kind of put me on blast right now.
But that's
so
okay.
embarrassing.
Oh,
Yes.
there she is. There she is.
Hey, what's up? What's up?
She really did put me on blast. Meanwhile, I have conditioner and stuff in my hair.
But she is a super fan, so I wanted her.
I am. And I love the episode because I went to FAMU.
Oh, dope. Okay.
Oh, yeah. So when you guys did that episode with doing foods for tailgating and all that, like it just brought back.
And JR was on the episode, yeah.
Yes, I remember him for FM. So it was just like, oh, okay. And so ever since then, I've been like consistently watching. So
I really appreciate it. Like really and truly.
Yeah, it was really good. So I'm just happy to be here in real time, seeing you do your magic.
So this is really actually good. Like making TV is fun, and you know, doing virtual cooking classes was not something I anticipated for 2020. I don't think any of us anticipated any parts of what any of us have been through this year. But it's been such a blessing in disguise because I love making television, but I'm not going to necessarily say I love doing this more, but this allows me to connect with people, even in large groups like this, on a one-on-one basis to answer questions in real time about the dishes that I created, that we create, or whatever the case is, to get feedback for people to tell me like, hey, this isn't working on my end because I'm using an electric stove and, you know, trying to troubleshoot through it or substituting ingredients or whatever the case is. So I really appreciate you watching because it makes a huge difference, especially because we've been on the air for 4 years. So I really appreciate that. But like this, I really enjoyed doing this too. Oh, and Leslie and her sister have a show coming out on HGTV next year.
Okay.
So look out for that too. Her sister is an interior designer. So they're doing like a little tag team. The format is like tag team, like take over people's spaces and, you know, some really cool thing. But yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you. That was super fan. So
sorry.
No, you're fine.
No, you're good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So I just want to ask everybody if there's any other questions. Thanks for doing the show. If there's any other questions, otherwise, show us the final dish one last time before we let you go.
Okay.
Where's the final dish in the drink?
They want to see the final dish again. And I can send you a photo of it too, Shelly.
Yes, that'd be awesome. Let's see. Allowing us to come into your home. This was amazing. Look at that. Look at that. It's too bad you're not in Atlanta because I would invite everybody over to your house.
No, you wouldn't. Not with COVID, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't.
Well, let's go stand outside. You can give us some to-go.
Oh, yeah, that will work. Yes, I would definitely hand you guys some plates.
So, Chef, it looks really good. I just want to say, from Morehouse School of Medicine, thank you so much for hosting our first virtual cooking show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We had about 10 donations the last that I saw, so we don't have a grand total until tomorrow. But just in case anybody forgot, that's MSM Cheers 4144. Tomorrow night is our holiday comedy show, and we're really excited about that comedy show. So make sure that you tune in, you register as well.
And that's at 7:32, right?
Yes, 7:30 as well. And it's for adults only. So make sure the kids are in another room far away. But thank you everyone for tuning in and showing us some love and support. We're definitely trying to do something different with this whole week of events. Chef, we really appreciate you supporting Morehouse School of Medicine across the street from Morehouse College. This was amazing. We have just the recording of this will be posted on our Facebook page, 1975 Alumni, as well as our YouTube channel, 1975 Alumni as well. So if you want to look at it again and have family and friends, do a virtual cooking, you can do that. Tomorrow, Chef is going to send me the gumbo recipe, right?
I am indeed. Yep.
So we can all do a little gumbo cooking in our kitchen. So we're really excited about that. Don't forget to, before we close out the chat, you see those 2 Asian markets if you live in Atlanta, where you can get some apparently live mussels. Now I just learned that, and some great seafood, as well as chef recommendation for cutting up vegetables is also in there, that link as well. And everyone should have received the recipe and the ingredients and the steps in your email. Still, if you have not, definitely email alumni@msm.edu. It's in the chat box. That's alumni@msm.edu. And with that, I am going to bid everyone a good night. I'm a little jealous of Mama that she gets to eat it because it looks so good. But again, thank you, Chef, for doing this for us. We really appreciate it.
You guys are so welcome. And Shelly, thank you for thinking of me. I love, my alma mater. I love where I came from. I love my experience. It sticks with me. My, my boys from Morehouse and my sisters from Spelman are still my best friends to this day.
Nice.
Josh, who's behind the camera, is one of my best friends. He's one of my best friends from Morehouse, his younger brother, which is how I knew him. So these roots go really deep. So, you're thanking me, but I'm thanking you guys as well. I love to connect with our community in various ways. And like I said, this is a lot of fun. It's work for me, to put it all together and everything, but it's also something that I'm really passionate about and I really enjoy. And I love answering questions and love interacting with people. So, hit me up if you have any questions on, the social medias.
Yeah.
I'm usually always tuned in. But yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I hope you guys enjoy when you make it.
Yes. Well, good night, everybody. Chef, don't hang up yet, but good night, everybody. Okay. See you tomorrow night for the comedy show. And don't forget MSM Cheers 241444. Good night.
All right. Night, everybody.